Welcome to the Freak Show. Yeah, so today, day off, which is nice because I've been working really hard. So I thought I would put everything into epoxy primer. So just been going wild with the gun. I'm using this spray chief epoxy primer, which is sandable as well. So everything's been given about 3 coats. Yeah. This was the door that I repaired, so it's looking really clean. You can't see anything going on there. Same as on this one. Perfect. So yeah, actually this is the door with the completely new section right across there. So that worked out well. And the little guy, here it is. So yeah, I've got a couple of runs which I'll have to sort out here. Actually a bad one. Hopefully I can sort that out. This is just epoxy primer to seal it up. So hopefully I can get those off. I've got a couple of tricks up my sleeve. But yeah, it's good to see it all in one consistent colour. The side that I repaired, it's got, you can just see a couple of little dents in it, but I'm pretty happy with that. Back bonnet and down the side. A couple of small runs on this side too. I was just trying to get the thickness right. It's really hard to get it right, so there's sort of a bit of a run here. But I should be able to sort that out. A panel, front wing, of course the front as well. Looks really nice. Oh, just realised I've actually got a little slip up there. So what I'm going to do anyway is I'm going to flatten it out and fix up any of the dings with a little bit of filler. And once I've got that sorted, I'll give it another coat just to seal it in before doing the final coat. So yeah, just use my Azido gun and air compressor, and I think it worked out pretty well. This is my epoxy primer coat the day later. So this was a 2K 2-pack primer and epoxy primer, and you can see where I had some runs. So I've just used a sanding block to try to get these out. Looks like it will work quite well. So I'm just using like a 300 grit paper to get those out. But generally it's really good. The good thing about having this nice shiny finish on it is that I can see some dents. So on the door here, this is one I just didn't notice at all until it was in a epoxy primer, but I've got a small ding there. So I'm going to try to get it out with a puller and then use a little bit of putty, but the doorknob is there and it won't be so obvious anyway. But this is what I'm going to do now, is get these imperfections sorted out. It'll run there as well, which I'll be able to address. And some little ones there. Not a big drama. Quite a big run on the front here. But again, I should be able to get that pretty good, but you considering how much panel work I've had to do on here, I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's going to look really nice. I've got the runs out of this panel beautifully, and I'm working on this part. The good thing is I don't need to use any guide coat because I can already see what the highs and lows are doing. So I'm just using some 240 grit on a block and being really careful to go in all directions and basically try to smooth the panel. Once that's done, I'll use some proper guide coat powder so I can see where the highs and lows are. But this stuff's sanding great, really good. I don't even think I'll need to use a high build primer on the car, so that's really good. I managed to get the runs out, which was nice. This stuff's great. This is a sandable epoxy, and I mean it's coming up so nicely anyway. I think all I'm going to do is once I've fixed some of the little imperfections with a little bit of lightweight filler, just really tiny little bits, then I'll give the whole thing another coat, a couple of coats in epoxy, and then wet sand that. And that will be what I'll put my final coat over because it's just looking great. Really impressed. There's my new door skin. It's got a tiny dent there, which is amazing. It only comes up once you put a shiny coat on. So I'll be able to get to that. That won't be a problem. Around the other side, had a paint run there, which came out no problems. And on the front, got the paint run out, but it's a little bit thin, so that'll obviously get another coat as well, so I'm not worried about that. But yeah, all the runs are out. It's looking really straight. This side that I did all of the dent removal on is really nice and straight. So I'm really happy. So yeah, this A panel that I was talking about here has a few ripples on the edges here. It's very slight. What I did was I will apply some putty, but remember it had etch primer on there. So I left the edge primer on, but I've sprayed epoxy over top of it, like 3 coats, and then I'll roughen it up, and then I'll put a little tiny bit of lightweight body filler in there, and just to even it out a bit, because there's a few, it's very hard to see, but there's a few slight dents on the edge, very slight, but that's how I'll fix that. But you can see basically the seam that I lead filled came out really nicely and nice and neat there, and it's been now sealed in with epoxy, so it worked out really well. This was obviously also the part of the panel that had the big rust spot that I cut out and repaired, so that's seamless as well. So all in all, came out really nice.